The KRGS Doors Show, proudly brought to you by KRGS Doors. For all your shopfront roller shutters, roller grills, folding closures and bifold doors, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au. Welcome to the KRGS Doors podcast. I'm your host, Drew Blackman. The aim of our podcast is to talk to cool people with cool stories, whether it be our suppliers, customers, staff, other business owners, or people from different walks of life, and get to know them a bit better. If you're interested in coming on, drop us a line or email, or connect with us via Facebook, and we can have a chat to see what we can do. Today on episode 37 of the 2-year-old KRGS Doors podcast, I'm joined by KRGS Doors Managing Director Clayton Blackman, and we talk to Matt Diedrich, aka the Aussie Flipper, a serious entrepreneur who quit his day job and now flips stuff from op shops, garage sales, Facebook Marketplace and flea markets and turns it into a profit. He even nearly sold his Jordan shoes to David Campbell from the Today Show on Channel 9 Live. Please welcome to the podcast, Mr. Matt Diedrich.
If this doesn't turn you on, folks, you haven't got a switch.
Matt, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us today. What is the Matt Diedrich story?
The Matt Diedrich story. How far back do we take it, I guess? I suppose I'm 31, living here on the Gold Coast in sunny Queensland. And if you take it back, I guess, to my early 20s, I finished a business degree off at uni and did a bit of travel over about a 5-year period in my late 20s. But really, the entire process through my university studies was always to work in the sporting industry. I'm a mad sports fan in any regard. Doesn't matter what sport it is, I'm generally going to be watching it. So did a business degree, majored in sport management, wanted to work for the Gold Coast Suns in the AFL, my hometown here. And fortunately did get the gig. I worked for the Suns for about 4 years in a sales membership-based role straight out of uni. And I thought I'd made it right there and then, done and dusted, 22 years old. I've graduated, got my job. That'll do me. I'll be set for the next 40 years. And, obviously that never works out that way. I got the bug to go and do some travel. Really wanted to differentiate myself from I guess, being, the sporting industry can be quite, I guess it's tricky to kind of get the position that you want. There's so much competition for roles. And I wanted to differentiate myself. And I went over to Canada on a visa, did 2 years over there working for a soccer club in the MLS. I don't know if you boys have heard of the MLS, but LA Galaxy, David Beckham's played for that team in the past. So it's a fairly big league, and I worked for a club there. Did a couple of ski seasons, had a few beers over there in Canada, and then came back and got a job with the Dockers in the AFL. So always sort of been travelling and enjoying life in my 20s and working in the sporting industry and trying to get a leg up. And then obviously the coronavirus hits last year and things gets flipped on its head. And, I always thought I'd be in the sporting industry, always thought I'd be in the AFL. I was working for Carlton Footy Club in Melbourne in a corporate sales sort of sponsorship business development type of a position. And I was offered the job back, but obviously, as you boys would know, Melbourne being Melbourne, it was a really difficult place. It still is almost. And I was offered the position to go back there, and I was living up on the Gold Coast at the time. Fortunately, I've been able to get myself out of there. And then I declined the opportunity with no actual work opportunity ahead of me. But I did in that period sort of have a bit of a time to sit down and think about what to do next. If this is going to be the time that after 10 years you step away from the sporting industry and you've got your travel underway, what are you going to do? And I guess that's exactly where what I'm doing now is sort of coming to fruition, and I'm about a year and a half into that new game that I'm playing now, but having a lot of fun doing it, that's for sure.
So that new game that you just mentioned is what I call flipping. So you're going around to op shops as such and flea markets and garage sales and purchasing goods for reselling. That's correct?
Sounds like you've done a bit of flipping yourself.
I actually have done a little bit of flipping, and I've been inspired by you. So that's how I come across you on your social pages. And so you were my inspiration to sort of just dabble part-time.
Oh, I love it, mate. And to be honest, that's what it is. It's a part-time, sort of a gig. I mean, yes, you can go to op shops. There's so many different varieties of ways to source items, and I try and document that with this YouTube channel that I'm running. But ultimately, it's a way of just finding inventory, finding stock, and that can be literally lying around your house that is worth value. And it can be new, it can be pre-owned. just basically anything, and typically that you're something that you're interested in as well. It's not just an item that may go on to sell. If it's something that you like to sell, for me, I like to sell, sporting jerseys and anything sort of sporting related, because that's my passion and that's my background. So I have a lot of fun selling that item. But I've tapped into eBay and the reach that eBay gives you, and I'm sourcing these items, putting them up, buying them at a low cost, selling them at a high cost, business 101, taking your profit and then trying to document that with a YouTube channel to help others like yourself do the exact same thing.
I must be the opposite to Matt with flipping, because I seem to buy, but I don't sell anything. I just hang on to it. You know what I mean? I'm a bit like you. I'm in the sporting memorabilia, but this, as you can probably see in this room, it's chock-a-block, but I don't seem to
touch on the fact there's a lot of good items.
I don't sell. I'm only a buyer. I'm not a seller.
Not on the on the second side of things.
No. So what's the opposite to flipping? Just
keeping.
Flip.
Hoarding.
Hoarding. Oh, that could be hoarding. My wife thinks it's hoarding. You got to get rid of this shit. You're hoarding it. So no, it's valuable.
Yeah. Well, I'll pop over and have a look, and we'll see what we can do.
Righto, mate.
Just on a consignment or something like that basis.
100%, my friend. 100%.
Yeah, she'll be happy.
You're right.
She'll be happy for you to sell some of this stuff, but I know I won't be.
Yeah. No, I'm not a collector myself. Never have been. I've just understood the concept of being able to flip, being able to sell an item and do it online as well. And I think the other thing as well, boys, is I really want to try and get online, because like what you're doing with your podcast, that's where the world's heading. You've got to put yourself out there. You can monetize yourself in so many different ways that you couldn't before. And that was really what I was thinking about throughout that time where I was stepping away from the AFL. And I thought if there was ever a time to give something a go for myself, where would be the best place to have the most success? And I figured that e-commerce and selling online would be somewhere or something that would generate, a lot more interest for people down the line. The brick and mortar stores won't necessarily take place as much in the future. And therefore I thought, all right, well, let's do that and let's see what YouTube's all about. And the opportunities to monetize through that platform is pretty incredible as well. And everybody has the opportunity to do that. So really it's just documenting both those new sides of the coin for me.
Matt, you're not flipping any footballs from Ricky Nixon, by the way, are
you? Ricky Nixon, I haven't heard from that man in a long time. Is he still in the game? What's he doing?
Well, he was flipping some Melbourne Demons balls the other day, and apparently they
unbelievable
allegedly weren't
legit.
Weren't legit. Poor old chicken.
Legit. Well,
poor old chicken Nixon. Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. I actually hadn't heard of that story, but you got to be careful selling fake. No, I had that'd be actually an interesting one to go and have a read. He's stepped the wrong way a couple of times, hasn't he, old Ricky?
Yeah, he's been under the bus a couple of times, mate. Poor bugger.
Yeah.
So on the flipping side of things, you're known as the Aussie Flipper. You've been in the game sort of 18 months now. Was it just something, hey, let's try this and suck it and see?
Yeah, it was. Nothing to lose. Big runway. I gave myself 3 years from the get-go. I think if you're going to start any small business, it's not going to happen overnight. You've really got to kind of put in the time, get to know it. It's as we sort of touched on before, this game of flipping that I speak of that I'm doing, I really do think that it is a part-time thing. It's an opportunity for you to make a couple of $100 on top of the full-time job that you have. You don't find too many people that are doing it on a full-time basis. And there's a few reasons as to why. The first one is it's actually really, really tricky to get yourself up to that point where it's consistent and you're able to earn, a full-time income. I probably don't say that I could rely solely on the income that I'm making from flipping itself. Fortunately, I've got the YouTube channel now earning me some money that I can make it a full-time gig. But that's not to say that you couldn't make eBay your full-time role, but just the hours and the volume of time that you would need to put into it versus probably the return that you would get out of it. It is really quite a slog. So, for me, coming off the footy game, I got into this and I'm like, look, I don't know anything about it. I just know that it's a great place to try and get into. And if I'm going to put my energy and attention anywhere, let's sit down and actually spend some time over a few years and just see in a 3-year window if you can get yourself into a position where you might want to continue it. I really considered going into a 9-to-5 sort of a role in real estate here on the Gold Coast, which would have been a very smart move because the market has absolutely ballooned over the last couple of years here with the virus. Everyone's sort of wanting to run up to the Gold Coast. So look, probably could have got into the game with my natural, interest in selling and sold some homes. But I always think that I can go back into that path later on down the line. And as I mentioned, if you're ever going to give something a go for yourself for the very first time, last year, that year and a half ago, was the time to hit the button and give it a crack. So I'm really fortunate that I did. I think it's grown really, really well over the last 18 months. So I think that's put down to just the amount of time that I've committed myself to it. I don't really do too much else. It's a full commitment. It's 7 days a week. I'm doing this every single day. But I hope that it isn't every single day down the line. I think you've just got to put that time in up front to get yourself into a good position for success.
Yeah, Matt, you probably would have seen not only your business, but all online businesses with shopping and so forth have had an increase in the last 18 months, 2 years due to COVID. And so, there's a lot of people shopping from home now. So it is good timing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, they weren't doing that 3-4 years ago. I think, I don't know the numbers myself, but I know that there's a dramatic increase. You're seeing it on the news every now and again that people are online shopping and, Christmas retail shopping is being bought online more and more. So the YouTube channel was designed on the back of the search component. I thought that people might want to search for how to start selling online. And if I was already there putting out videos about it, people like yourself, Drew, are going to click on a video that I've got out there and want to learn how to do it. So I'm just trying to document that learning journey that I'm on because I don't know everything, but I feel like I can still share my story. You
mentioned there too that it's not viable at the moment to be a full-time job as such, but I see the hours that you put in, and as you said, it is 7 days a week. And that's just watching your videos that are sort of 15 minutes long, but Thursdays you call it your trip to the thrift, and that should be 4 or 5 hours out there getting inventory, and then you've got to come home, you sort it out, photograph it, put it up, and then also too you're editing your video to get it out. So that might be a 12 or a 14-hour, 15-hour day straight there. For maybe not return instantly, the return may be 3 or 4 months down the track.
You've nailed it. You're 100% spot on. Yesterday being Thursday, I was out for a trip to the thrift. What I've been really kind of happy, I guess, in my progress about is I've never missed an upload on YouTube with my videos. It's been 3 videos a week, and I've never missed a scheduled upload. And I've really kind of prided myself on making sure I stick to that. I think that's a great way to grow. But, the way I've sort of planned it out, I'm very much to try and get myself into the most efficient process possible, really streamline a routine across the week. And Thursdays are my biggest days of the week because I am editing that video. I am going out on the actual day that you're watching the video that night, and I'm sourcing it in the Gold Coast op shops that very same day. So, the process for me on a Thursday, I'll list items onto my eBay store that I've already got here at home. That will start at about 6 in the morning. There'll be some administrative tasks that I do to wake up my eBay store. And then I'm hitting the op shops by 9 o'clock, filming, sourcing the items that I'm finding, trying to educate those out there why I'm buying that item. And then I'm coming back home and the listing's been done. So those new items that I've just bought will be listed up today, being Friday. And then I spend the next 6 hours editing and putting the metadata correct on my YouTube channel to hope that the video gets found and put another video up there on the channel. So I'm usually done by about 8 p.m. every Thursday night, and I'm starting at about 6 a.m. So it's a 14-hour day, and I've done that for the last year.
So, Matt, at any one time, like currently, how many products would you have on the market for sale right here? Like you're only dealing with sporting goods?
No, not sporting goods only. I've got so my 4 main selling categories are shoes, clothes, books, and DVDs. And I've slowly started to phase out of selling books. So DVDs, you would be blown away. The old DVDs that nobody ever watches, well, they are a huge money-making opportunity on eBay. Yeah. And you can source them for quite a low cost. But number of items, I would have about 1,250 my store currently. And look, to be honest, you kind of need that, right? Like if you think about, your own business and how much volume of stock you'll need at any one point in time, you do kind of need that inventory there so that you can get the reoccurring sales volume on a daily basis. So, if you want to be full-time, if you want to be any form of part-time sort of a seller, you probably need to get over 500, over 1,000 items, depending on what your goals are.
Where are you storing these 1,250
I was just going to say,
items?
it's lucky you've got good parents. I've seen in the videos the storage.
Yeah, 100%. You'll see behind me here.
Yeah.
So that little tray there by the door, that's actually just my out tray. So the post that's going out today
Wow.
gets positioned there. And over here, you'll see some lights.
Yep.
And that's where I list the items that I bought.
Okay.
So this is all done out of a spare bedroom at my parents' place. So speak about overheads, boys. I don't really have any,
No.
which is a real plus to what I'm doing. And
Good work.
I store all the other items in a second spare bedroom. So over time, I'd like to get a warehouse and move in and make it a fully functioning operation with some staff.
That's the goal.
I'm just not quite at that point yet.
What's the biggest challenges you find you face?
The challenges definitely over the journey as it's grown and grown and grown, bigger and bigger. It's being a jack of all trades, right? You sort of touched on it before, the fact that I am doing the videos. There's an editing component. There's just a production of filming the item, filming the video itself initially. There's so many different pockets of how to market that video as well, how to market the item that you're trying to sell. Then the basic administrative tasks, doing the shipping correctly. Getting the knowledge base of what items to actually go and buy. I say that I work every single day because the biggest battle that I have is that there are so many different tasks that I need to do, and I'm finding it really difficult to try and get them done in an 8-hour window. I was aware that was going to be the case and the time needs to be put into it, but it's definitely just needing to learn so many different aspects to have it work effectively that I'm probably battling with the most. And hopefully over time we can get 1 or 2 people in to do those administrative tasks like the listing of items, like the postage, that are quite basic to do, but they just take up some time. And that'll alleviate me to be able to do some of the bigger picture things that I've got in place.
And not only that, I guess it's an education piece, as you said, making sure you're buying the right item. And I'm sure starting out, you're buying stuff going, oh, yeah, I think that'd sell. And then it'd just sit and sit and sit and sit and sit until, what do I do with it now?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest benefit that I've got to provide for the YouTube channel that I have is that the biggest thing is what are you going to sell and how much do you buy it for? How much room do you have to make yourself a profit? And then what do you actually go and sell the item for? And really a lot of my videos are documenting that process, sourcing it at a flea market, sourcing it at an op shop, whether it be a wholesale deal or a consignment deal that I'm doing, and really trying to, I speak heavily around the financials and the numbers, my own personal financials of how my business is going, but also too on individual items to try and break down why I'm buying that item for that price. Because I really do think that all the other stuff you can kind of learn, it's all very basic administrative type work, but the real, I guess, success of your eBay business is what are you buying, how much are you buying it for, and how much does it actually go on to sell for? So I've certainly personally got better at that over the journey. But those earlier videos, if you go and watch those, I probably wouldn't recommend buying some of the items I was sort of a year ago.
You certainly look motivated, mate, and into what you're trying to achieve there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always there's been even job opportunities, since I've been out of the game and working for myself. In the footy industry, there's been multiple job opportunities for me to go back into that space, and I just don't think I would have given it full, justification to say yes, I'm happy to step away, having only been in it for a year and a half. I really do think that it does take a lot of time to build up, and come 3 years, if I'm not in the positions I want to be in, then maybe I'll look at getting back into the 9 to 5. But for now, I'm absolutely loving it. It's
good.
A lot of fun, and working for yourself as well is pretty cool too.
Yeah, good on you.
What's the biggest lesson you think you've learned on your 18-month journey?
Yeah, the biggest lesson, I guess it's more just the realization of what I was thinking initially. It truly does take time. Patience in any business, if you're trying to start something, is the biggest thing to, I guess, be okay with. I will slowly grow incrementally with a YouTube channel, or, my sales volumes will just slowly be increasing. And I guess over time you get kind of complacent with the small growth that you're actually having. And you've really got to remind yourself that you're in it for a marathon, not for a sprint. And you do need to put your daily practices in place to make the big picture work and have that long-term mindset. Patience, 100% for anybody starting a business.
And I think that's a lot of things, and it's probably a similar analogy of weight loss, that people, I've only lost 100 grams this week, but you're on the journey that 10 lots of 100 grams all of a sudden is a kilo, and things like that people don't realise. And I know you documented you had your first $10,000 month of sales only just recently.
Correct. Yeah, and that was a year and a half of build up to get to that milestone. And you don't want to really quickly then look at somebody else in the game selling on eBay and see their numbers drastically higher and, fall complacent on your own numbers. You've got to celebrate each milestone, know that it's your game, your race that you're in, and keep chipping away and then celebrate the milestones when they do come about. But I think Will Smith, put it best, and something that I always refer back to when he was a kid. He speaks about building a house, and his dad was showing them how the house was getting built, and it was putting one brick down at a time. And slowly but surely, over the course of a few months, that brick is now built up to a home. And he kind of learnt that at a very young age, and it still makes a lot of sense to me today. Just little bit by bit, you can build something pretty special if you just keep sticking with it.
Sure. Any tips that you'd give for anyone that's sort of interested or wanting to start in the flipping game?
Yeah, if you want to start in the flipping game, look, I think definitely start around your own home first and foremost. You don't want to be splashing cash on items, spending $50 on something that sells for $60. You want to find stuff around the house and use the eBay app on your phone. It's a very simple download. There's a little barcode scanner on the phone, so you can actually search what that item is selling for. So before you even decide to list the item up onto the store, you can know what you're going to get for it. So I've always said to just have a look around the house. It's personally how I first started. And from there, you get to learn the eBay app. I think eBay is probably the best app to be using here in Australia. There are a few other different platforms that you can sell on. Facebook Marketplace is something I did quite a bit of in the early days. And then when I tried to make it more of a business, I sort of moved into the eBay direction. But I think both Facebook Marketplace and eBay would be the two. And then, if you want to go from there and sort of start to buy items because you watch thrifting videos and you see people buying cool things and you enjoy the hunt, which is generally what most people, get into the game for. They enjoy the find of a Michael Jordan, framed photo like I found when I was in the thrift yesterday that I got very excited about. Go out, but keep your spend minimal. Just buy a few items. Don't take too much and just slowly just kind of learn as you go.
And I'll give others a tip. You jump on YouTube and search the Aussie Flipper, and you'll get some fantastic education in that sense as well.
Yeah, I should have said that as well. Every single week.
Matt, is your ringtone on your phone Macklemore's thrift shop?
I'll tell you what, it should be. It's a great call. Maybe I'll change that today. I like that.
I just saw
it's a good song.
Hey, I've got two questions for you. There's a show on TV that I'm a big fan on Fox it's from the States, obviously, called Storage Wars.
Yeah.
You watch it?
Yep. I've seen a bit of Storage Wars. A very, very cool concept.
Yeah. Obviously, people go out and auction and try and buy storage lockers that have their owners, the original owners, have not paid rent on, and then people come in and buy the goods and try and find a bargain.
And it's a bid too, right?
Yeah.
So they bid for the storage
correct.
unit, and then they can't actually see what's in
Yeah. So it's all luck of the draw, mate. That's right. You just got to
yeah.
You can go in, but you can't touch, but you can just see. So I guess you look at any of those type of things with storage units up there on the Gold Coast, or not really?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I haven't yet. I think for me, I'm really fortunate that local op shops and flea markets and Facebook Marketplace itself is a really plentiful sourcing opportunity for me, which I know a lot of other people around the country with various different price points don't get the access that I do. So I've kind of learned over time, I don't need to go down storage units, wholesale, pallet purchasing, mass inventory. I can literally go out day by day and find enough items to slowly build. So I think if I was to do a storage purchase here on the Gold Coast, it would be more so for the entertainment purpose of a video and making content out of it. Yeah. Because I love watching that Storage Wars TV show myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, American Pickers is the other one.
Oh, I love American Pickers. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the other guy? The Liquidator. Is it the
Liquidator?
The Liquidator. That's a good one too. He's obviously got bulk inventory. You see that one?
Yeah. I haven't seen Liquidator. I'll have to have a look at that.
That's a good one too. But yeah, American Pickers, that's one of my favourites too.
And look, there's a reason why these shows are on, Channel 7 and Fox. There's a genuine interest for a lot of people out there on that treasure hunting aspect.
Yeah.
I've really kind of realised with the YouTube channel to kind of head more so down the finding and the sourcing part of it, because I think that's what most people enjoy the most. And you don't see the American pickers selling the actual item. They're giving an estimation of the value.
Yeah.
And they're showing the part of actually sourcing it. So
yeah. The other one you've probably answered, mate, your stock. So where do you go apart from, like, is there much on the Gold Coast, many places on the Gold Coast where you can go around and find your stock?
I've realised with the YouTube channel that I am so fortunate to be on the Gold Coast, and I hope that with my videos I'm not telling all the op shops to pump up their prices if they're watching.
They'll have you on the books, mate, selling this stuff.
You know what though? They actually do pump up their prices, and they do watch my videos. I know it for a fact because I talk to them when I go in there. But look, that's fine. I think I went to your neck of the woods a couple of months back in Sydney, and your op shop pricing compared to my op shop pricing is astronomically more expensive. Right. So I know I'm in an absolute. You even go to Brisbane. You go up the road to Brisbane, an hour up the highway, and it's going to be similar pricing to Sydney. So I'm just in this real sweet spot of sourcing opportunities, especially within the local thrift stores and op shops. But I'm having a lot of fun going out to the flea markets, which is where I think domestically around Australia, big over in the US, that's probably the opportunity to find those really low cost items that can sell for quite a high price on eBay. So I go out to the flea markets every single Sunday, and I'm always posting a video of my negotiations of how I'm going about the purchase. And then obviously the trip to the thrift, simply because the price points are so good, I'm putting time into that. But people in regional areas, for instance, that watch the video and communicate with me all the time, they say, we don't get the opportunity that you've got with what you're getting access to. And really, for those guys, you've just got to think out the box. You've got to look down your wholesale. You've got to look out, consignment with friends and family. What have you got that I could sell that we could go 50-50 on? Yeah. So I'm trying to think as well about people in other areas that may not get the opportunities that I do, of how they can generate and build an eBay business as well.
Yeah. Just on that consignment front, I know on wholesaling, you've been burnt a couple of times purchasing some jumpers and that type of thing that hadn't gone on to sell like you thought. But even on the consignment side of things, I know Matt, because he's in the post office every day, if not every second day, the lady in the post office said to him, hey, I've got some stuff to sell. Oh, really? Will you look after it for me? And we'll go 50-50 or whatever they negotiated. Just by knowing Matt goes in there every day, she got chatting and he picked up some gear like that.
How good's that?
Look, there's opportunities everywhere. I think a lot of people can get a bit too narrow mindset around, I need to buy it from here or there, but literally anybody can be an opportunity for you. If you just speak about what you do, I definitely have started to communicate the fact that I am a reseller. I sell stuff on the internet. That's how I basically try and quickly describe it with people. But consignment is awesome. If you're really battling to find that awesome item, the lady at the post office that you're referring to there, she had this, I think it was a Beatles or an ABBA. It was sort of a DVD, cassette tape, CD compilation, brand new and sealed. And I was able to sell that within a week for $300 for her. Now, to get that item, I didn't pay a thing, because consignment is you get the item, you list, you sell, and you split the profit. So, she's taken away about $100. I've taken away $100 after fees and postage. And that's simply because I just had a conversation and was able to get my hands on some stock. So if you are looking to try and get into it, maybe the consignment could be a great way with friends and family that you're comfortable, sourcing on.
We might have found something there with sporting memorabilia. Possible. Reach out to people that want to sell their memorabilia on consignment. We can,
certainly
add to the wall that you got behind.
Yeah, that might be the issue, that we'd end up buying it because you'd want to keep it.
Wouldn't sell the bloody thing.
That's the way you go about it. I like it.
Mate, was it the YouTube channel that got you on the morning show on Channel 9, or was it just through flipping?
It was the channel. It was actually a Daily Mail reporter that wanted to write a story up on the internet about what I was doing. Because I'm so, upfront and open with my financials, I was able to sort of depict the fact that I'd got it to a point where it was a full-time income, and the reporter genuinely was interested in sharing that story. And I said, look, absolutely, it's all the information's already there. You can write an article. But we had a quick 20-minute interview over the phone, and he got the answers he needed, wrote that article up. And, the power of the internet, you just simply don't know who's watching you, right? And I had a current affair Channel 9, Channel 7, all of them basically sending me DMs on Instagram saying, can we get you on the morning show? They're all asking for exclusivity. They just wanted to run the story themselves personally and no other competition. And I did want to go a current affair because I know that Tracy and the stories you see on a current affair can be a bit negative sometimes. So
I was going to say, if current affair was after you, were they after you for the wrong reasons or?
I did not even want to give that a go.
No, mate.
There's so many different ways. So I quickly said no to that. But I really actually wanted to get the interview with Carl Stefanovic. I thought talking to him would have been a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And he wasn't on the air, but I got Dave Campbell, and he's equally as good.
He's a good man, Dave Campbell.
You should try and get him on the podcast, boys, because he is a lot of fun. And he actually, if you watch the interview, he actually noticed a pair of shoes that I had in the background of the shot. And it was a pair of Jordan 1s, and he recognised those shoes. So the way the interview went, I'm live on TV on The Breakfast Show, and I'm trying to sell Dave Campbell a pair of my Jordan 1s and give them to him at mates rates. It was unbelievable. I was sitting there pinching myself going, I'm on national TV talking to Dave Campbell about these Jordans that I've got to sell.
My wife is a massive fan of David Campbell's. We have been to see him in concert on a few occasions.
A fantastic musician.
Yeah, talent. Very talented.
What's the biggest profit you think you've made on a single item?
Well, your game, actually, your space, furniture, door. Well, not so much doors, but I've done a lot of buffet tables. I was doing a lot of furniture flipping off Facebook Marketplace when I first started. I'd go off Facebook Marketplace, find an item for $50. It might be a really nice desk, might be a good dining table, really large sort of an item. But the return on furniture, if you walk into a furniture store, you're talking thousands of dollars depending on what item it is. So, I'd find these really nice items, these really nice, great condition. They're moving out of their new house. They're moving into somewhere else. They're downsizing, whatever the case may be. And I would be regularly at maybe 3 or 4 items a week, picking up furniture around that $50 price point. And I'd be selling it on average for about $250. So I'd be making about $200 per item, which is quite ridiculous. No fees, no postage. They come to you, they pick it up.
Wow.
Furniture is a fantastic category to get into on Marketplace. If you're just a casual seller and you just want to make that couple of extra dollars, I would say forego eBay and just sell furniture on Facebook Marketplace. I literally bought a van so I could house and offer delivery for the furniture that I was buying and selling, because I thought that was an advantage to all the other listings if I was able to get it to their house.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to pick up furniture. But to answer your question, the best ever, it was a buffet table. I sold 2 of them. It was a Silverwood that you would buy out of Amart Furniture, but it was present day stock. And it was worth about $1,500. I bought it for about $50 and I sold both of them for about $600 a piece. So collectively, I made about $1,000 on the flip of those 2 buffet tables. You do often see them. I still see them now on Facebook Marketplace. And I think, there's $500 right there.
What's the timeline, mate, of you getting that stock into selling it? How quick's it flip?
Well, you think about it. You're at home. You've furnished your house. You don't have a lot of storage space. You don't want to be housing so many items of furniture. But the beauty with the furniture on Marketplace is that it's really easy to source. There's always items going up, and then it's equally easy to flip, even at that $250 price point, because people want genuinely good furniture. And you've got to remember, they are still $700-800 worth of an item. Yeah. So I'm buying it for $50. It's worth $800. It's in excellent condition, and I'm the middleman selling it to you for $250. Yeah. So, I'm not ripping anybody off. They're loving the items that they're finding.
They think they're kicking a goal as well.
Everyone's kicking a goal, to be honest with you. And the turnaround's probably on average about 3 days. I would move it for that profit.
It's good effort.
The thing I like too, Matt, with what you do is on your YouTube channel is you're very open, and your numbers are all there, and what you're buying and what you're selling it for and everything like that. But not only that, you're very helpful as well. I know people can message you and reach out, and you read the comments in your YouTube videos and, hey, what do you think this is worth, or what should I do here? And I know that there's another young kid, and his name escapes me. I think he's Everyday Flipper is his name, and he's based on the Gold Coast
Jamie.
as well. Jamie, yeah, and like he's in your videos now. You sort of see him and you going around to the markets, and you're educating him on going, yeah, I'd buy them, but I'd only pay $20 for them. I wouldn't go any more because you're probably only going to sell them for about $50. And he's only about 14 or 15. and he's
That's
making
right, yeah.
$1,000 a week on just selling stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad
Yeah.
effort. But that's a good thing I find, your education and you're giving to everyone else as well.
Look, I think that's YouTube, right? You can't go in there for your own statistical reasons. If you want to monetize a channel and earn money, well, the way you're going to do that is by helping somebody else. And I've always known that right from the get-go. You don't make a video for your own, I don't want to put a video out saying I found a certain item just to simply pump myself up in front of a couple of thousand people. I want to show you that, hey, this item actually sells for about $350, whatever the case may be. So right from the get-go, with any video that I'm putting out, it's always, how can I help the person on the other end? And that's the same with you boys with the podcast that you're putting out. It's these sorts of stories that you're trying to provide to people that are going to give them a benefit, and they're going to want to make you, come back and watch your podcast. So, that's the I guess the thought behind everyone. But as you go through, you do build an audience, and the whole game of what we're trying to do here online is to build an audience, gain a following. And you're going to do that by trying to help people. But I'm always getting messages from people saying, hey, can you give me advice on this and that? And then I'm going out into these op shops and flea markets, and I'm meeting people like Jamie. Jamie was literally watching my videos every single week and bumped into me at a flea market and said, you're Matt, the Aussie Flipper. How are you? I've been watching your videos. And I absolutely love meeting anyone that's watched any video along the journey. But Jamie, I was blown away by the fact that he is only 14 years of age. And if anybody's listening, go and tune into the Everyday Flipper and give Jamie a subscribe, because this is going to be a story. I believe the way his sort of mindset is, determination, his business savviness. At the age of 14, he is going to be something special. I truly believe later on down the line. And you're right, Drew. He'd be making a few $100s. He'd be upwards of $1,000 a week, and the kid's in grade 8 at high school.
Is he?
And you.
He lives on the Gold Coast?
On the Gold Coast as well, yeah.
Yeah, he's around the corner from me, and his mum and dad go to the flea market. He's at school Monday to Friday, so he can't go out to the op shops. But every Saturday morning, he'll go to the garage sales first thing at 5 a.m, and then he'll roll into the flea markets at 5 a.m. as well. Source all of these awesome items. He's built his knowledge base up, and his parents tag along for the ride as well, and they kind of love how motivated he is about it. And he's watched a lot of my videos. So to be honest, a lot of the items that he's sourcing are items that I've personally sold. I do a lot of shoes. He knows all the shoes based on all the shoes that I've bought. So I've taken a real liking towards him, because he's built his knowledge base off watching my content, which I think is really cool. And I try and get him in and involved, and we kind of learn from each other at those flea markets when he's not at school on a Sunday morning. So yeah, he's a ripping kid.
I'll have to have a look at Matt's catalogue on his shoes, but don't tell my wife, because I'm a bit of a shoe collector too, Matt. Runners. So I'll have to have a look.
Mate,
but the last thing
I'll flick you a pair, mate. Let me know which
the
ones
last thing I'll have a look, mate. I'll have a look on the catalogue today when we finish, because the last thing Leanne will say is the last thing you need is another pair of shoes.
Well, I think, Matt, there's probably 10 or 12, maybe even more storage boxes out there on your veranda full of shoes.
Just shoes. Yeah, I've probably got about 300 or so pairs at the minute. It's a lot. It's about 25% of my inventory, I reckon, the shoes. I love it. And they sell, right? Like you buy the item because you know that it goes on to sell, but you then get to know them really, really well. And I think I've honed into just selling clothing, shoes and DVDs. I don't really source too much more than that. But then you get to know those categories really well. So that the running shoe space and, basketball shoes, footy boots, you'd be amazed at how much these things can go on to sell for and how much they're looking to be bought on places like eBay as well.
Yeah.
So from a pure profit sense, buying for $5, selling for $50, taking a $30 profit becomes a pretty good game.
Mate, away from flipping, and as you mentioned before, it's pretty much 7 days a week. How do you relax?
I like to have a bit of a punt on the ponies on a Saturday, boys. Spring Carnival just gone.
Don't we all?
Have great success. Yeah.
Don't we all?
I was going to say. I thought you'd agree. I don't mind a punt. No success throughout the Spring Carnival, but it's still for the enjoyment of it, right?
It is. It is the best carnival, mate.
Yeah, it is. It is. Outside of that, I'm really into my distance running. Actually, I've run my entire life. I've done one marathon, but I've done 7 half marathons. So I'm always out running, kind of just to break away a work day. I'll go for a run before dinner, for instance, and that kind of switches me off from what's been a pretty big day. And And then outside of that, I'm watching a lot of sport. There was a reason why I was working in the sporting industry. I just absolutely love it. So I'm watching the AFL. I'm going to the footy games, any form of sport. Huge NBA, huge American sport fan, which is why I try and pick up those items when I'm seeing them out in the op shops. Russell Westbrook would be my main man over in the US with the basketball, now playing for the Lakers. That
leads me to my next three questions. Who's your NBA team?
Yeah, Lakers. Kobe Bryant is still, even though he's passed, unfortunately, he's a big part, I still think, in my life, really more so from a mindset perspective. Like if you know Kobe in the way that he went about his career, he was obsessive. And I can really relate things from athletes. I always look to athletes to gain, I guess, how can I improve myself? You can always find a lot from them. And I think Kobe Bryant, as much as he was a super basketball player, you can just learn so much from a mindset perspective from that bloke. So, Lakers, LeBron, obviously, but really Russell Westbrook from a pure player front. When Durant went to Golden State Warriors and shafted Westbrook, I was sort of more on Westbrook's side from then on.
Yeah.
I just like the way he plays. He's an angry man.
So you're in basketball. Your baseball team?
Baseball, I'd probably say the Blue Jays, having spent some time in Canada.
Yeah.
I'd say the Blue Jays. Don't watch it as much. I find it to be just a slightly slower game. Although, having said that, I don't mind my cricket back here. But yeah, the NFL is pretty good too. Look, it's a pretty common answer, but I'm a huge Tom Brady fan.
Okay.
So I'm following him, Patriots to Tampa.
Yeah.
And watching a lot of Tampa footy as well.
Yeah, it is good, mate.
What about you boys?
Well, basketball, we probably got the same team, I'm guessing. So we're a Chicago Bulls fan.
We
haven't had much to choose. We hadn't had much to cheer from until probably recently. But obviously, I grew up at a time when there was Scottie Pippen and Rodman and Jordan. So my favourite basketballer of all time is Dennis Rodman.
Yeah,
and Drew's is
Jordan.
So I'm a fan of Rod. But our baseball team and our NFL teams are probably the same as well. So we went to the States in '89 as a family. I went in '88, and then we went in '89 again. So we went and watched the Giants, San Francisco Giants, live.
Yep.
So, and I actually went again. I actually went again 3 years ago to see the Giants play at San Francisco. So the Giants for us in the baseball, and also 49ers in the football.
Although I am partial, I do like Tom Brady as well. So I just think the way he does things.
Yeah, he's almost one of the greatest sportsmen of all time across any form of code or game, I would say. Tiger Woods obviously up there, but I just think Brady, he's really, really up there. But I've been to a couple of Giants games as well. Been to that stadium in San Francisco.
AT&T Stadium.
49ers game at Levi's as well on a bit of a road trip.
Yeah.
It was. I think it's Levi's, their new one. Oh, you talking baseball?
Baseball, mate. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, the one near the water.
Yeah, right on the water. Yeah, AT&T. The boats are outside. They're waiting for the home run outside.
Waiting for the home run.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, it is
really
a good
stadium.
Yeah,
we've actually got a story for their old stadium of San Francisco that when we were there, we went and watched, and then 3 weeks later,
this was Candlestick Park. So we went to Candlestick Park where they played the baseball and the NFL.
Yeah, and then 3 weeks later, we were in Hawaii. And they had the massive earthquake there in San Francisco and actually flattened Candlestick Park. So 3 weeks ago, we were there watching the baseball. And
so we did a holiday in reverse. We probably would have been in San Francisco. So we went there first and then ended up in Hawaii. So, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Hawaii, though, another fantastic part of the world. I personally did. I reckon we would have done a similar trip. I did a Hawaii stop before I jumped across into to LA, Vegas, and San Fran.
Oh, we did it I've done it on the way home.
Yep,
it's a good way to relax.
Good way to break up that flight. It's a long one.
Yeah.
So I think stopping in Hawaii is a good way to do it.
Yes. Now, mate, to end the podcast, we ask our fast 5 questions, which are just a bit rapid fire to get to know you a little bit better. What would be your last meal?
Last meal would be Mum's lasagna. If you've ever had it, it's one of the best things in the world.
What did we have the other day? They call it
They called it a pasta cake.
Pasta cake.
One of the guys in our last episode, he called it a pasta cake, which I'd never heard before, but he said it's a lasagna. So
is that a lasagna? Is it a
yeah,
pasta
pasta
cake?
cake?
Heard it.
Yes.
But mate, same as us. We're always lasagna.
Yes. Your drink of choice.
Yeah. Alcoholic, I'd say a pickleback. Have you boys heard of that?
Pickleback? No. Tell us.
So it's a shot. It really gets you going. It's a shot of Jameson whiskey.
Yeah.
And then you chase it with a small glass of pickle juice.
Right.
You take that as well. And it's an American thing. I had it over in the States for the first time. And what the pickle juice does is you take the shot, and obviously a shot's a shot. It's not going to feel too great. But the minute you take the chaser of that pickle juice, it completely neutralizes your taste. And that whole sensation of a yucky shot is completely gone. And you're ready to go again. So if you're looking for a good night out, and take a couple of pickle shots, and you're good
Matt,
to go.
is this something you picked up from the deep south?
It was actually, funnily enough, the first time I ever had one of these picklebacks was out the front of the Staples Center. So I was
in
watching
LA?
a game of basketball. Yeah, right across the road, there's a really large garden bar. And I was in there, and it's a thing that the Americans have all the time. It's a pretty common thing, and I'd never heard of it. And we threw one down, and we literally, me and my mates, it's just a running thing. We'll always take a jar of pickles, drain the pickle juice out, and bring a bottle of Jameson over, and they are a really nice drink.
So what about when you go to a local bar or something up there and you ask for one of those? Do they look at you strangely, or you're not? You can't.
It's funny. I think the strike rate of anywhere in Australia that I've been out drinking, whether it's interstate or even here on the Gold Coast, I reckon I've had about a 50% strike rate on people that have either heard it or never heard of it behind the bar. I always ask the question purely out of interest, whether I even want one or not, just to see if they know. And it's always about a 50-50. But everyone knows it in the States. And,
but what about on the Gold Coast? Can they provide it for you? Like if you ask for one, can they produce?
The Jameson whiskey is pretty easy.
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
The Jameson, but not too many places have the pickle juice lying around.
No.
You go to Coles, you buy one for a couple of bucks, and you're good to go. But the bars don't necessarily have the pickle juice, and they don't really use pickle juice for too many other drinks either. So I think that's why it's more of a 50-50.
We might have to give that one a shot.
Yes.
Give it a go.
Who's the most famous person's number you have in your phone?
Famous person, the phone. Look, working in the footy industry, there's a few players that I've had in my phone and still do, just from a business perspective. They need to get to a sponsorship event or a night out that we've scheduled for them. So a lot of the Suns boys, a lot of the old Sun boys.
So Gary Ablett Jr.?
Yeah, Gary Ablett Jr. I'm sure they've all changed their phones by now.
Or they've blocked you, mate. They've either done that or they've blocked you.
No, I think they've blocked me. I think that's what it is. Tried to give Gary a call yesterday and he barred me. So, but mate, it'd be all the boys at all the different footy clubs. You build up a bit of a directory with all those guys.
So, what clubs have you been involved with, mate? The Suns, Carlton.
Yeah, Carlton and Fremantle for 3 years over in Perth with Optus Stadium that they've got over there. So,
isn't that
I came back from?
Isn't that a magic setup over there?
It is, and footy is mad. As much as it is in Melbourne for AFL, it's equally as mad over there in Perth. So to kind of be a footy fan and experience it here on the Gold Coast, where rugby league is obviously very dominant, to actually go over there and work for a club like Fremantle, it was you really do feel that Melbourne vibe of the love for sport for AFL, and then obviously to come across to Carlton and work for a pretty historical football club. It's a very old school administration. The Optus Stadium, not Optus, the Icon Park that they've got over there in Melbourne. It's pretty cool. I was only there for about 6 months before the virus hit and I had to get out of there. But, that was all a lot of fun.
So who was the coach at Carlton when you were there, mate?
David Teague, who is now no longer there.
Yeah.
Didn't get too many wins, Teague. So Michael Voss is now.
Vossi's got the job now, hasn't he?
He has, and I used to love watching Vossi. So if I was still working there, it would have been a bit of a thrill. As a kid watching the Lions win a three-peat, but not to be. But hopefully he does a good job.
Excellent. Who is your favourite superhero and why?
Can you call the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles a superhero?
Of course.
Absolutely, we'll let you.
Yeah, I'll say them. I'm not a massive superhero man. Like, I'm not really into all the Marvel movies that you see. But I'll tell you what, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they sell well on eBay. You can find anything related. I think that's probably more so why they are my favourite.
That's from a profit point of view.
Exactly right. Anything to make $1.
Exactly, mate. And if heaven does exist, what would God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
What would he say? He'd probably say you took your time getting up here, I reckon. I'd like to think that I've lived a pretty good life, a pretty long life before I get up there and say hello. So, yeah, hopefully he'll say you're up there. You've been able to get up there for the right reasons, and it took me a while to get up there, I guess.
Excellent.
Matt, that puts an end to our podcast today, mate. So really appreciate you giving up your time and coming on and having a chat, mate. Good luck with the Aussie Flipper. Hope it's a success for you.
Mate.
And we might get you on the podcast again down the track just to see how things are tracking along for you. And when you become famous, we can say, hey, remember Matt from the Aussie Flipper came on the podcast before he was a multinational. But mate, really good to hear your story and have a chat. And everyone out there that's listening, get onto the Aussie Flipper. You're obviously on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and all those as well, mate.
Yeah, spot on. You can find me just through the Aussie Flipper everywhere. But I really appreciate you boys getting on and reaching out through Instagram to get me on the podcast. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. Differentiating yourself with what you're doing, and you run a pretty good show too. So thanks very much for getting me on. It's been a lot of fun.
No, mate, thank you again for your time. But as I sort of said, when we reached out, we talked to cool people with cool stories, and seeing your story over the last 18 months and watching your videos, it was like, hey, this is pretty cool what you're doing there. Sort of started from nothing to grow it up. And as you said, patience, and we wish you nothing but success going forward.
I appreciate it, mate. Can't thank you enough.
For all those are interested, you can jump on Matt's Instagram. It is _Aussie_Flipper, or search the Aussie Flipper on YouTube, and there's heaps of videos there. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for him as well. So
get on and have a look at his 1,250 items in his catalogue.
Yes, as well. Look them up on eBay.
That's right.
I'm just about to get on and have a look. I'm just about to get on and look for a pair of size 9s.
Yeah, I'm happy to help you out, mate. Always.
Sounds good. I'll be in touch.
Mate, again, appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thanks, matey.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
That wraps up the 37th episode in our chat with Matt Diedrich, the Aussie Flipper. Pretty cool to quit his day job and turn his hobby into his full-time job. As mentioned, to follow Matt on Instagram, his handle is _Aussie, AUSSIE_Flipper. So _Aussie_Flipper, or check out his awesome YouTube channel, The Aussie Flipper, to follow his journey. If you have missed any previous episodes of the KRGS Doors podcast, you can download them from our website, www.krgsdoors.com.au/podcasts, or on your favourite podcast player, search KRGS Doors. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to ensure you don't miss any future episodes. This also boosts our ranking and my ego. The other thing I suggest, if you've enjoyed the podcast, visit your favourite podcast player and leave a review or a rating. I've been your host, Drew Blackman, and you've been fantastic for tuning in today. As always, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. Thanks. Till next time. The KRGS Doors Show, proudly brought to you by KRGS Doors. For all your shopfront roller shutters, roller grills, fold enclosures and bifold doors, visit www.krgsdoors.com.au.